everyone, this is Bandhana Khalra. कैसे हैं आप सब? And welcome you all in my YouTube channel EduGrowth. As I told you in my last video that I will be uploading videos related to different subjects of education, and these videos are beneficial for all those students who are doing B.Ed, M.Ed, or who are appearing for UGC NET exam in education, who are appearing for state level teacher eligibility test or at the national level. So let's get started. So today I am going to teach you about educational psychology. So educational psychology, or you can say essentials of educational psychology. As you can see, the name educational psychology consists of two words. The first word is education and the second word is psychology. So let's discuss both these terms separately. So first we are going to discuss about education. What is education? See, when we talk about education, so how you can define education? Different people define education by different way. Many people, they say education means by which you can differentiate what is right and what is wrong. By education you can share your knowledge. By education you can gain experience. By education you can earn a degree. Yes, you can earn a degree, or you can earn a certificate, or you can go to a school or college, and you can deal with your emotions, or you can share your knowledge. So likewise there are different definitions given by different people, or I can say different psychologists. So first let's discuss about the history of education. So the word education is derived from three Latin words. These are three Latin words. The first one is educare, the second one is educer, and the third one is educatum. So educare means to mold. To mold. So by education you can mold the behavior of students. You can modify their behavior accordingly by providing them education related to different subjects or different topics. And the second term is educer. Educer means to bring out. So bring out means to identify their hidden talent, their innate capabilities. And each and every individual is different. They are having some innate capabilities, like many students, they are good in storytelling, many students, they are good in public speaking, many students, they are good in interaction or social interaction. So likewise by education you can draw out the hidden capabilities or the hidden talent of any individuals. So the next one is educatum. By educatum we mean the art of teaching, or I can say learning. Okay? Art of teaching and learning means by which teacher can transfer or share his knowledge in the classroom, and by which students can gain knowledge from him. Okay? So this is about education. So the term education is derived from Latin word. Three words I can say: educare, educer, and educatum. I hope this definition is clear to all. So let's move further. So this is about education. So let's discuss about history of education. Many years ago there was an education system. There was Gurukula and teacher disciple relationship. During that time, the main focus was not only on the bookish knowledge, but they wanted to give practical knowledge to students. And nowadays also, there are many changes in our education system where we are providing practical knowledge to our students. So how we can define education? If in simple way we have to define, then how we can define? So in general term we can define education as education means all round development of a student. All round development of a child, or I can say adult, by which he or she can acquire knowledge, skills, attitude, and experience. He or she can acquire knowledge, skills, experience, and attitude. So, in simple term, what I told you, education means all-round development of a child or an adult by which he or she can acquire knowledge, skills, experience and attitude. Now here I am using one word, all-round development. What do you mean by all-round development? By all-round development we mean your social development by which you can interact with your society or with your peer groups or with your family member, or your emotional development by which you can manage your stress, you can manage your anxiety, your negative emotion, and your cultural development by which you can understand your culture, your intellectual development by which you can acquire knowledge, you can develop your cognitive path, and by which you can develop aesthetic sense, you can connect with nature. So that is known as all-round development of a child or an adult. I think this concept is clear now. So let's discuss some of more definitions which are given by psychologists, or I can say educationists. So let's discuss the definition of education in ancient India. So according to Rig Veda, it is one of our holy texts. So in Rig Veda, it is defined as education means to attain salvation. To attain salvation. अब salvation का क्या मतलब है? It means mukti, to find your purpose of life, why you are here, why you came into this life. So in Rig Veda it was defined that education means to attain salvation. So let's discuss by Upanishad. In our Upanishad it's mentioned that education means which makes us self-reliant and selfless. Which makes us self-reliant. And selfless. Now I am using two terms here, self-reliant and selfless. What do you mean by self-reliant? Self-reliant means when you can take decisions for yourself, you can stand for yourself. And how you can stand? When you receive education by which you can develop or you can modify your behavior that help you to take decisions of your life. So that is known as self-reliant. And selfless, when you not only think about yourself but you all think about your family members or for society. So that is known as selfless. So this definition is given by our Upanishad. Now let's move further. Now I want to add here, many people they confine education to only school or college or university degree. That is not correct, because there are different ways to take education. You are not only take formal education. I can say education is a lifelong process. जब आप पैदा होते हैं और जब तक until death, education is a lifelong process. आप कुछ ना कुछ सीखते हैं. आप अपनी family से सीखते हैं. You are learning from your peer groups. You are learning from society. So there are different ways to take education. So I can say education is not only confined to your school, college or university degree. So we can define or I can say we can classify education into three levels, like formal education, informal education and non-formal education. First I told you formal education, and then I told you informal, and the last one is non-formal. So what is formal education? When you are acquiring or when you are doing any degree, or when you are going for college or university, that is your formal way of education, like school, college, or university. And what is informal? Informal means self-paced learning. Self-paced learning. Let me give you examples. Like if you are watching a history channel in the news, so you are going to understand about different behavior of animals. So that knowledge you are acquiring from television. So that is also example of self-paced learning. And if you are going in a library, or you are reading some motivational books, or books related to your subject, so that is also example of informal learning. If you are learning by news or by social media or online platform, this is also the example of informal learning. The last one is a non-formal learning. So what is non-formal learning? When you are learning in community centered education, I can say community centered education. If you are attending any workshop, if you are attending any community function, so that is the non-formal way of taking education. So I think this concept is clear now, that education doesn't mean to take knowledge of any subject only in formal setting, but it also means by taking education by informal way or non-formal way. So let's move further. So यहाँ तक मुझे लगता है एजुकेशन टर्म आपको अभी क्लियर है. So now let's discuss about psychology. Psychology. जब हम साइकोलॉजी की बात करते हैं तो आपके माइंड में क्या आता है? साइकोलॉजी means a branch of science, or you can say branch of art, which is related to study the human behavior. Okay, so let's discuss the definition of psychology, or history of psychology, or from where this word psychology came. So psychology is divided into two parts. The first one is psyche, and the second is logos, or you can say logo. So logo means study or science. It means study or science. And what do you mean by psyche? There are different definitions, or I can say different views given for this word psyche by psychologists or educationists. So earlier in first stage it was defined that psyche means study of soul. Study of soul. So there was group of scientists or group of educationists who defined psychology as a study of soul, but this concept was not widely accepted. And what was the reason behind it? Because many psychologists, they said, how you can study a soul, how you can see a soul. So this definition was rejected. The later on age, a group of scientists came up with a concept that psyche means study of human mind. But this definition was also rejected. But why? Because mind is also divided into three parts: your conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind, and it's very difficult to perform research. So that's why this definition was also rejected. Then the third definition came, where psyche means study of human consciousness, and this definition was given by William James, Wilhelm, and Bradford. But again this definition was rejected, because here also we are telling about consciousness, which is also a part of mind. So this definition was given in 1819 1894. Then there was a scientist whose name was William Morgul, who told psychology means science of behavior. He replaced the word logo with science. What he told? It's a science of behavior. Science of behavior. And this definition is widely accepted. So now why we are calling psychology a science? Here you can see I have written psychology a science. Why psychology is a science? Because, let me give you one example. I'll show you one slide. In that slide, you can see there are two pictures. In picture one, you can see there are some workers, who are constructing a building, or I can say some engineers who are constructing a building. And in second picture, you can see a teacher who is teaching in the classrooms. Now, what similarity between these two pictures? Both are professional in their field. In one picture, engineers, they are having technical skills to build a I can say a building, but in other picture, a teacher is a technician in their divided into two parts. The first one is pure psychology and the second one is applied psychology. Pure or you can say basic and applied. Okay. So in pure psychology, they are also divided into different branches like general psychology, your social psychology, all these will come under pure psychology. But in applied psychology, we discuss about educational psychology, child psychology, clinical psychology, like educational psychology, okay, clinical psychology, and your military psychology, law psychology, all will come under applied psychology. Now, how we will describe this educational psychology? We can say educational psychology is the branch of applied psychology. You can see I have written educational psychology in applied part. So, you can define it as educational psychology is the branch of applied psychology where we study the behavior of an individual but only in educational settings. Okay. So, let's discuss this. Educational psychology means it's a branch of which psychology? Applied psychology. Applied psychology, where we study what we study? Behavior of any individual but only in educational setting. In educational settings. Let me give you one example. I'll show you one slide. In that slide, you can see two pictures. In one picture, you can see a teacher is teaching in the classroom, and you can see students, they are having paper rocket in their hands, and some are having paper in their hands, and they are ready to throw on class teacher. So this class seems to be very naughty. So here teacher, she is only acting as a passive teacher. But in the second picture, you can see a teacher, who is sitting, and one student, she is giving lecture, or she is involving in teaching learning process. So this is an active kind of learning. So in second picture, the teacher is applying the principles of psychology in the actual classroom. So this is one of the example how we can apply educational psychology in the educational setting. Okay. So likewise, there are different methods, or there are different I can say strategies, or there are different theories which you can apply in teaching learning process.